7 car trends that need to die in 2022. Hello and welcome back to MIA Luxury Cars. For today's video, we will be going to talk about the 7 car trends that needs to die in 2022. Let's get started. Number 1. Wraps on wraps on wraps. To wrap or to paint is a sickly colorful house with custom graphics. My Porsche 911's wrap appears to be perfect. So, how can we conclude that car wraps are destroying automotive culture? Painting, on the other hand, is a long and difficult technique that allows you to add a unique hue. Then, top it off with a thick coat of clear coat. And you've got something that's even better than the factory's original. Wraps, as you can see, have gone a long way since they originally became popular. They still don't have the same luster as new paint jobs. A car is wrapped by professional wrappers, and it looks excellent a lot of the time. But it's essentially just a large sticker, and it might sometimes look like if it isn't deployed properly. What would you think if you spent a few $1,000s on something similar? That's how it ended up looking. However, paint can occasionally turn out badly since the paint gun isn't correctly set up. Furthermore, your new paint has a little too much orange peel, which we all know isn't ideal. Both are effective. They do have flaws of their own. However, it appears that in recent years, people have repeatedly chosen wrap over painting. A standard paint job can last up to 10 years. The 68 Mustang California Specials paint job. It was completed in 1980s, although it was a wrap job, can only be used for a few years. That is, if it is kept out of the light and is not abused. I may or may not have had some difficulty removing the wrap from 997 911. That isn't going to go away because another costly issue with vinyl wrap is the removal of the wrap if you are not attentive. You can pull off the clear coat like I did. So even if the wrap could be the cost-effective option early on, you may actually spend just as much money as painting it down the line if you're not careful and you damage the paint. But we love vinyl wrap. Keep doing it. Keep modifying your car for you because this next mod won't mess up your paint, but it can seriously have awful effects on your suspension. Number 2. Stance obsession. Can someone tell me why everyone is stancing their cars? Honestly, would you rather have this or this? Because today it seems like it's almost a requirement to be a hella flash out of a car meet. And I guess I just kind of like to go against the grain. But it seems like being unique and different is being completely replaced with hella flash fever, with unique builds get turned away just because they don't have the proper fitment. Number 3. Pandem wide body everything. If you wish to keep your stock E30 M3 in its current state and then do it, some people choose not to slam their Pandem wide body kit. And then there's another fad that appears impossible to avoid, as if we can't gaze in the rear view mirror without seeing a Pandem wide body package. This takes up almost the entire rear view mirror. Because it is so large, people are also using Pandem wide body kits these days on everything, literally, because everything from Skylines to Supras and McLarens and classic Mustangs and from MX-7s to Rangers is covered. Today, you can get the point across about anything and everything, is that they have a wide body, and after a while, they all start to look the same to us. And unfortunately, there aren't enough firms producing unique wide body kits. The Pandem outfit is very attractive. The difference between this and this wide body, people are unique. And it appears that the more hyped these broad body kits become, the higher the prices will rise. And this isn't just with the prices of wide bodies, it's also with the prices of good old cars. Number 4. Hyped up prices. Anyone remembered when the iconic Mark IV Supra was selling for around $20,000 to $30,000? That was a few years ago. And it isn't the case today. Because if you wanted to call one of those legends your own now, you'd have to pay a lot more. But it's not only Supras anymore. It's also 240 SXS, Miatas, and S2000s. And it occurs to me that other day that something older would normally be a lot less expensive. However, 240 SXS are more valuable than 350 ZS. And now you can get an S2000s for less than a Porsche 911. They're still fantastic automobiles. We simply miss the days when you could purchase one without paying the hype tax. And I have a habit of doing this whenever I drive a car, and you should do the same, is to determine how much the automobile is genuinely worth and whether it drives like a vehicle that is more or less expensive than the price it is offered for. For example, a C606 can be had for $30,000, but it drives like a $60,000 sports car in my opinion. A third generation Mazda Miata, available for $14,500, drives more like a $10,000 sports car. Some automobiles just drive over their weight, while others drive slightly below. Not that the Miata isn't bad, but at $14,000, I'd rather have a fully functional E36 M3 because it performs like a $20,000 sports car. The level of hoopla surrounding some of the JDM missiles. Number 5. Missile cars. There are more collector items these days than cars that you'd want to drive. Missiles, on the other hand, aren't collector items for most people. Missiles, yes. Missiles, on the other hand, are cars that have been stripped down and modified specifically for racing. The drift missile is the most common missile you're probably familiar with. And while they're meant for the track, a lot of people end up driving them on the street and to meets. And sometimes they just come across as silly. Missiles, as you can see, are configured for ideal asphalt conditions. On the racetrack, there are no driveways, speed bumps, or supermarket cars to avoid. Imagine dealing with all of these flows in a vehicle that isn't up to the task. People do this far too frequently, and it not only causes them discomfort, but also all of the other motorists in the vicinity, which we completely understand. It's acceptable to stance your automobile or even install a fart can, but driving your missile down the road is dangerous, and it can become a little silly at times. Number 6. YouTubers SMH. YouTubers, on the other hand, appear to be foolish. YouTubers are making automobiles uncool. Isn't a manual Lamborghini Murcielago awesome? Who doesn't like the scissor doors and the 2000 styling? Then, there's the high-powered exotic V12 matted to a manual transmission. What about the Huracan and Audi R8 disguised as a sheep? No. A wolf in sheep's clothing. Yes, it's a stylish Lambo. However, so many YouTubers have bought them in recent years, and they are now as popular, as if not more frequent, than a Camry on the internet. You also want to know something bizarre. For roughly the same amount, you can get a Murcielago or a Huracan, and the Murcielago have only manual transmissions for the first 2 years. That you can swap your own gears in a manual V12 is quite cool, and I believe that an increasing number of YouTubers should take a plunge or purchase more exotic supercars. The Lamborghini Huracan, on the other hand, is essentially an Audi. They're also highly dependable. It'll have you begging for mercy where the mercy is when the repair bills for that thing starts to pile up. Because, well, they're not exactly dependable. And don't get me started on McLarens. On YouTube these days, it seems like everyone and their mother has a McLaren. And the fact that every car a new model is released that is nearly identical to the previous year's models. Take a look at the 650s, for example. After that, there's a spanking new 570s, which was built over 6 years ago. Actually, we can't tell the difference. I believe that the 650s is a more attractive vehicle. And here's the problem. The McLaren 650s was the hottest thing since sliced bread in 2015. And it's still the sexiest thing in 2021. You're an ancient news if you don't own a McLaren 720s. So, here's some advice for fellow YouTubers and anyone else who is fortunate enough to own a supercar. Remember, you should buy it for yourself, not for YouTube, Instagram, or the internet, because 1 year will be cool and the rest of the years will be hot. But just as long as you enjoy it, that is practically priceless. And if you do decide to purchase a supercar on an automobile in general, do not, under any circumstances, Plasti deep it, unless you're sure what you're doing. Number 7. Plasti dipping isn't always a terrible thing, and it can be done correctly. And it looks great when it's done correctly, but it's easier said than done, because a short Google search will reveal that individuals are botching Plasti dip jobs left and right. And if you think that canning your entire car with Plasti dip will turn up looking like paint, think again. But only most of the time, you're going to be incorrect. When we bought the Plasti Dip Green Gen 1 Viper last year, the Plasti Dip down by the exhaust got so hot that it started peeling like snakeskin. So, if you're going to Plasti Dip your automobile, wheels, or emblems, take this advice in consideration. Learn how to use it first. There are plenty of wonderful lessons on YouTube. And don't let Fonzie get in the way of dipping your automobile. When I couldn't buy aftermarket wheels for my Porsche 997, I learned how to Plasti dip them, and they turned out amazing. And don't flaunt it too much, because your recently Plasti dip car might need some extra work if you do. It is fine to give it part of the beans after leaving a vehicle show, but not all of the beans. You don't want to be the guy that jumps the curve. It doesn't imply you're invincible just because you have 4 wheels and all-wheel drive. As a result, don't go faster than your angels can fly. You're risking not only yourself and the car, but also the people around you. So which car trend has caught your attention? Please let me know by leaving a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thank you for stopping by to watch. See you in our next video.